Hello and welcome to the new episode of the Data Rule Podcast, your only surefire bet on data in iGaming. This is Stan, and today we're discussing the topic of how to build your single source of truth. The single source of truth that I will be mentioning over the course of this episode is the desired state where you combine data from various systems and you know it all without a shadow of doubt. It's when you're confident that when you speak to your teams about last month's GGR or how many new depositors you have only one number before your eyes and you're confident about that number. You know it is fully correct. On the contrary, and well, this is a pretty common situation that I observe, people from various teams replicate the same calculations with everybody getting a different number only to start arguing who's right and who's closer to reality. Then you have those multiple truths, so to say, and you can't really say with full confidence which one is the real, quote, truth, unquote. The single source of truth, which is achieved through efficient storing and cleansing of the data, facilitates your life by far. Now I'm going to give you a few examples. Let's start with the first one. The mere fact that people start doing their own calculations bottom-up in Excel, just as we mentioned before, that shows that companies have a strong appetite for analytics. People want to have the answers, lies in the data, and how we prepare that data, right? Suppose you invest in 6 channels to acquire new players. Which channel performs best? Which brings you the most loyal players? Where is it worth investing more? And where should you perhaps phase out your investment in the marketing and acquisition channel? Set aside the acquisition, we can also talk retention or reactivation. Let's say you're running a promotion and you distribute free spins after, say, the players fulfill a specific condition. Was your promotion successful? Did it really build user engagement? Do the players stay longer when they use those free spins, or maybe when they use them partially? Did they spend more? Or else, suppose you double the reward on your latest deposit offer. Was it worth the investment? Did you get more traction thanks to that campaign? Or maybe you just burned cash? Knowing that there's quite a population of players who hunt for bonuses, you might want to avoid this kind of situation. You have those players that take up your special offer, and then they just go and subscribe to the next platform, and that's it. Otherwise, speaking of sportsbook, when you implement new offers and enhancements in the betting mechanics, say 2 goals difference wins your coupon, how do you tell if anyone uses your new feature? How to measure the adoption of such promotions? And which element is the one that players like most that makes them return to you? Now imagine you produce games. What's the recipe for the perfect game, which is like tailored to your players' preferences and helps you build the traction you've always dreamt of? Finally, suppose you operate on a regulated market. If so, I'm sure your regulator already asked you many times to share some data with them, be it the impact of bonuses on gambling addiction, suppose, or other monthly, quarterly reporting, sometimes ad hoc, some inquiries, usually with a deadline for Friday next week, and then you're developing that report in a hurry. Do you know how to quickly build a report on user behavior, which is related to your latest promotion? Or can you collect and consolidate this data for the authorities in, first of all, a timely fashion, especially if you need to roll up from spin level data? How much time is it going to take to your teams? Those are the questions that any iGaming company has to answer if it wants to grow and thrive in these verticals. Or rather, when it comes to regulatory inquiries, simply survive and not get your license suspended. There's no denying that the answers to all those questions are hidden in the data. Be it game logs, CRM, platform data, marketing automation, website traffic, affiliate system, and many others. The tricky part is finding where that data is, extracting it from there, and consolidating. Finally, you need to ensure that it is correct, structured, and providing interpretation, which leads us directly to the topic of today. No matter why you need data, if it is for marketing, customer service, or compliance, you now have 2 options. Option number 1, quick and dirty. It may seem to you faster, but it's not. It always comes back to bite you, so beware of the appearances. Let me tell you now about how it often looks like. People manually export data from the platform. They just make right-click, download, Then they use Excel or Python to consolidate it, and then they try to make sense out of it and generate some sort of report. Next week, when they're asked by their boss to produce a new request, they repeat the whole process from beginning, from scratch, because nothing has been automated. And even if you need the same report with the same layout and the same type of information, but just with fresh data, again, it will take a week to generate. Maybe less, but still quite some time, right? This way, you're solving one problem and you create 3 new problems. And that's when the different reports, which all have one thing in common, start showing discrepancies. Also, when doing deep type analysis, when you have a high volume of data being processed in real time, retrieving the data from the platform might slow down or disrupt the player experience. This is something that we've already seen. And in the worst case scenario, players simply leave because the platform is lagging. Now, the option number 2 is exactly about building that single source of truth, the data warehouse or data lake with replicated raw data from systems readily available, preprocessed datasets for ad hoc reporting. Then you have a robust data platform that allows you to slice and dice data from all systems combined together, no matter how and when you'd like to do it. Now, let me tell you a short story. The regulator asked selected operators to provide detailed information based on spin-level data about a certain very specific bug that was found on their platform that they were all using. One of those companies was our client, so we were asked to build an analysis in order to respond to the authorities. Even if the task seemed fairly straightforward at face value, it required browsing through the whole history of few years of transactions of all active players and all their bets, wins, deposits, and so on. By the end of that day, the client had it all readily available for submitting to the regulator. And shortly after, our client wanted to share the script, which was done on raw platform data, to help out the other 3 companies. The competitors, they tried to run the script themselves. The problem was that they didn't have a data warehouse, so they were obliged to run the script on their platform, and as a consequence, it kept throwing timeouts and lagging the platform for players. So in the end, they were obliged to break it into pieces, and it took them 4 days to get it done. Meanwhile, remember when we spoke about the appetite for analytics, where you have a marketing manager, head of promotions, account managers, CISO, and other teams having some specific needs related to data. They all have ambitious goals and very interesting plans how they want to achieve their goals, but they need support and the ability to access the necessary information quickly and easily. If this scenario seems familiar, have no fear. There is one solution to that. It is your data platform, your single source of truth. This is a long-term solution that brings 6 benefits all across the board, and we'll discuss every single one of them. So, speaking of benefits, what are they? Let me name those 6 benefits, and starting with the first one, this is going to be preventing the core platform, so the gaming platform overloads. Remember the story I just told you about this regulatory request, which was related to a platform bug. Assuming you don't have a data platform, you'd have to collect all the information directly from the gaming platform, so from your platform provider. At face value, maybe it doesn't feel like a huge deal, but at the end of the day, you'll realize it's quite the opposite. There's a huge risk that your queries will impact platform's performance and stability, which then will cause players to churn. And worst case scenario, maybe you could even have a community backlash because your platform is lagging. And on top of that, you have no other choice but to run it on the platform since you don't have the data warehouse, right? But when you have such a data platform, the analytical layer is separated from the gaming platform, and you can run any number of complex or simple queries without the slightest impact on the performance of the games. So, of course, the transactional system still needs to feed data to the data platform, but it can be programmed off-peak hours, maybe let's say 4 a.m., 5 a.m., where you have very little traffic, or otherwise you can define queries in an incremental way. So, and there's many other different techniques that minimize the impact and eliminate the risk of affecting the player experience, which is our most important item in here. The benefit number 2 is the huge acceleration in time to insight. A well-operating data platform, data warehouse or data lake, eliminates the constant need for costly and time-consuming manual work, rework, unnecessary processing, because all of your extraction and data transformations is either fully automated on schedule or at least prepared in an organized fashion. So besides the extraction and processing, the data platform hosts also some pre-made data sets with data that has been validated by your BI team, and business users can simply go and use and abuse these data sets. This way they can discover new insights just by themselves. So as a result, the time it takes to make new insights and to get some inspiration on the next actions and strategy drastically decreases. So it's much, much, much faster. Let's take the example of a marketing report. Say you want to build, someone from your marketing team wants to build a report on the attractiveness of specific games. In order to calculate and prepare such reports, you make a ranking of the most attractive games, where you combine several data points, player activity, number of sessions, GGR, and so on and so on. Now, creating and refreshing such a report manually could take, say, even a few hours. So every time someone needs it, they need either to ask the BI team to generate this report, and maybe then you get it next week, or in the best case, you just sit down and you start putting all of those things together by yourself. Now, with the data warehouse, such report could be simply just there, available at the disposal of our marketing team on demand, with all the newest data refreshed and included. So that is making their life significantly easier and allowing them to make rapid decisions based on the data. Just think about how many man days this could save in your whole company per month by saving that precious time spent otherwise on repetitive tasks. Your teams can switch their focus and they can take more time on strategic and business operational tasks instead of reworking data. So they can use their skills to think about new marketing campaigns, new ways of building your business, etc. And most importantly, they have all the data that supports decisions, all the data that they need right there at their disposal. Now, moving on to the benefit number 3. Number 3 is going to be something that I might have already mentioned partially just a few moments ago, but it's worth emphasizing even more. Well, it's simply about delivering reports cheaper. If your BI team keeps refreshing manual reports, consolidating data from various sources, using different bits of code here and there, different scripts, here's some PowerShell, here's some Python, here's some VBA, etc., it's just simply wasting your money, be it in higher invoices for the same job delegated to an external company, or a waste of time of your employees, which also translates into monetary value. If they had all of that information automated for them, no need to manually maintain and refresh, they can move on to the next task. So automated data processing here means that the whole calculation of the KPIs happens in one place, in the data platform. Then it serves as a foundation for all your other further reports that you're going to prepare. So no need to repeat the same calculations. No need to repeat the same extractions, everybody downloading, exporting data from the systems. Because this way you're combining multiple requests for data into one and you save money. Now about the benefit number 4. It is all about connecting all the data from various sources into one. So an operator for whom we have delivered a data platform was really over the top with it, because finally they could automate their calculations with combined data from the PAM system and other transactions and monitoring data in order to have a full picture of the player for the responsible gaming. Other than that, combining all data about the player is usually the key component of building a successful omni-channel strategy. So we usually speak about a single customer view. So this is like the comprehensive unified record of all interactions and data points which are associated with a specific customer across all the channels and touch points. So you're having information about gameplay history, transactions, customer support interaction, how many times did the player call our landline last year, and personal preferences, all into one single screen. Achieving this customer 360 or single customer view without a data platform is virtually impossible, because of how many scattered data sources you're dealing with. So in addition to your online casino, let's say, you may have the same users betting matches on your sites, playing slot machines in bars or restaurants that belong to your company, and blackjack in your land-based casino. Also, imagine trying to match player names manually from 20 different systems and trying to validate how 20 different people entered the data about the specific player and identify if this really was the same person. That Stan from Warsaw, the postcode 03477. Is this the same Stan from Warsaw with postcode 03478 in that other system? Is it really the same person, or was it a typo? Or maybe these are two different people and should we target them differently? Well, the data platform helps you solve this puzzle piece by piece by integrating data from multiple sources and ensuring it's accurate, up-to-date, and accessible. As a result, you got the true customer 360 approach. It suddenly becomes the reality. Suddenly you enable deeper analysis of your players' behavior and player experiences. And all of that translates into vastly improved player satisfaction. Now, benefit number 5, compliance. I know that not everyone likes this topic, but everyone needs to comply with standards and regulations if you want to operate on the market, right? So for example, companies must meet specific data storage criteria in order to receive the ISO 27001 certification, and the same goes for the GDPR regulations. You need to classify your data in order to know exactly where you store all the sensitive customer information, such as, say, credit card data, payment details, PII, and so on. The data platform gives you all you need because it provides you with a clear picture of your entire data landscape, which is invaluable if any of your former players suddenly request that they would like to exercise their right to be forgotten. If that happens, you know exactly where you store all the data about that person, and you can easily erase them from your records. That, of course, goes for any type of request regarding personal or legal matters. Having the data platform makes dealing with those sorts of issues incomparably faster and safer. Now, finally, the last benefit number 6, business enablement. It's all about the term which is being used recently, the democratization of the data and the emergence of what we call citizen developers, so people who start building their own reports bottom up. This is a result that comes directly from implementing a data platform, and it facilitates the access to meaningful data for everyone. So basically, what do I mean here? Upon the raw data you extracted and combined from all your systems, you share the pre-made data sets with your business teams. Thanks to that, some of those business analysts and specialists start exploring and discovering interesting insights in the data only by themselves, thanks to that easy access. And they won't need data scientists, data engineers, or BI team for that. Imagine a scenario where your marketing manager has this brilliant idea. Let's run a new promotion for the next World Cup. When there's no data platform in place, your marketing manager will have to go to the IT or BI team, request a tailor-made report with some query extraction. And of course, the BI team, they'll tell him it's going to be ready in 3 weeks' time. But for the marketing manager, it's way too much waiting, because 3 weeks might be a totally different reality. Usually, when you build such data platform, your business team, they can handle such requests by themselves with full autonomy. The data is being exposed to them in such a way that makes it easy to handle, and they can build their own reports, what we call self-service reports. No need to bother the overburdened BI team anymore. Okay, we're over with the benefits. Now, time to discuss what's the best way to implement such a solution. Generally, you have 2 options: going on-premises or cloud. Going on-premises, to put it short, means that you're setting up physical servers somewhere in your company's basement or any other location. And typically, if you already bought servers in bulk, costs are more predictable and there's a chance it will be cheaper than with cloud, but not always. However, going on-premises means you will struggle to scale. If there is a sudden surge in traffic, more data pipelines to run, or whatever any other reason and argument, the system will overload, which means that it may lead to service disruption. And all we want to avoid is disruptions at all costs. Also, if your business is growing rapidly, you might simply not have enough time to provide more capacity and buy more service. once the ones that you have start depleting, since the procurement process to buy new servers always takes time. The second option is going to the cloud. And usually that's the best option for most iGaming companies. Cloud offers limitless scalability, allowing the platform to handle any increase in traffic or processing needs without the risk of overload. What's important, cloud has the same or better security compared to on-premises. Cloud providers invest heavily in advanced security measures, threat detection, security updates, and specific comprehensive compliance certifications, which often surpass what many companies can achieve or afford in-house. On top of that, they employ and they have dedicated security teams that operate 24/7, so definitely cloud solutions are a safe choice for managing sensitive data. Also, about the costs of the cloud, these can be harnessed and kept under control when you implement the right guardrails. After choosing to go cloud or on-prem, you choose the approach. Here you have three options: data warehouse, data lake, or lakehouse. To put it simple, data warehouse used to be the most popular choice over the last decades in terms of BI and data. This approach is the perfect fit when you want to combine data from structured sources. So here structured, I mean that can be represented in the form of tables. Other than that, you would opt for a data lake when there's much more diverse system that you would like to leverage. Especially, let's imagine when you want to include data in the form of images, videos, soundtracks, and other types. Let's say you'd like to analyze data from a land-based casino entry reception, and you want to perform image recognition, and you'd like to store that data into your data lake. The data lake will be the choice to go. It will be also a good choice when you want to gather and collect data from the systems first, so that you can leverage it at the later stage, because business cases still have to be identified. So this is also an option which is often selected by companies that maybe they don't have it fully clearly acknowledge what will be all the different use cases, but they already know that in the future they want to use that specific data. Then you build a data lake, you integrate it, you have it on your site, and then it's just available for you for performing any processing and then later decision making thanks to that data. Finally, the third option or approach is the lakehouse. And lakehouse, it's a combination of the data lake and the data warehouse, as the name suggests, but also it combines the advantages of both data lakes and data warehouse. Typically, lakehouses is something that we implement in companies that have attained a certain specific level of data maturity within the organization, and these require often slightly greater investment during the setup and governance, but when done right, they can turn much more economical after the implementation. So usually if we start off a data warehouse or a data lake and we see a need to evolve and the organization is ready to evolve towards a lake house, this is going to be the approach taken. Time has come for the last consideration for today. What technology should you exactly choose for your data platform? That famous single source of truth. And these days, when working with greater volumes of data, the most common options to consider will be any of the following four, such as BigQuery, Synapse, Databricks, and Snowflake. Of course, there's many other different options, but these are the most popular that are being nowadays considered. All of them are great technologies, and there's no situation where a single option outperforms all of the other options out of those four. Rather, each has its own advantages and drawbacks. And usually, the choice of the technology for the data platform will be aligned with the strategical cloud selection done by IT. So, if your infrastructure runs on Google Cloud, BigQuery is the natural choice. Google Analytics already runs on BigQuery. This is a technology that will support data analysis no matter the volume, but at the same time, it can be pretty costly when you pay per volume of data processed. Similarly, Synapse will be the natural choice for companies running on Azure and using Microsoft Identity Management. Also, companies using Power BI. The advantage of the Synapse is that your costs will be predictable since you're operating on a per-hour billing model. Oftentimes, especially in bigger corporations, companies opt for cloud-agnostic technologies, meaning that you are not locked into a specific cloud vendor for your data platform. That's when Databricks comes to the picture, which is also great for building lakehouses based on flat file storage and data science workloads. Snowflake, on the other hand, is better for data sharing across different departments or external parties. Also, the caching capability makes it the perfect choice if your queries are standardized and repetitive. So Snowflake, as well as Databricks, both are available across all clouds, which is often a very important argument in favor during the technology selection. But all in all, the final decision needs to be taken with respect to the current and future context of your organization, of your company, be it both from a business perspective, but also technology-wise. So guys, thanks a lot for making it till here with me. I am pretty sure that now you're fully aware of the 6 benefits of the data platform. Quick recap: business continuity, faster time to insight, cheaper reports, connecting data from various sources together, easier compliance, and business enablement. Topics such as technology and approach selection always get a lot of traction, so do not hesitate to reach out to me, for example on LinkedIn, if you'd like to broaden the discussion and share your thoughts. And that's going to be it for today. So this was Stan, signing off for now, and remember, keep rolling with the data.